I want to turn to Major John Spencer, Chair of Urban Warfare Studies at the Modern War Institute, co-director and host of the Urban Warfare Project. In the midst of a war, what has been a brutal war, something extraordinary has just happened, Major Spencer. I want to start with your reaction to what we've just seen unfold over the last couple of hours.
Well, personally, it's a complex feeling of emotions of happiness that those children and women are out of Hamas captivity, but also sadness to think about the ones that are still there.
There's no doubt about that. And in many cases, we don't know where they are being held. There are certainly those who are not even being held by Hamas. But in the meantime, as this plan unfolds, the hope obviously is that every day more hostages will be released. What's the biggest military challenge to making sure this temporary ceasefire doesn't just hold, but potentially gets extended?
Yeah, it's an extreme challenge of a political military. From the military aspect, there is a lot of risk that Hamas causes it to unfold purposely, and that's the real situation which the soldiers are in. Of course, they always have the right of self-defense, but even if you uphold to the standards, Hamas will be able to reposition, regroup, move their personnel around, and cause potentially for it to be a worse situation once the operation continues. But that's the risk that they knew going into this. So there's lots of day-to-day, minute-by-minute risk of the actions happening within Gaza that the soldiers and the military will have to respond or not to.
Could it be something as simple, and that's probably the wrong descriptor, but could it be something like just a lone actor or a small group of soldiers who make a wrong move, not intending to incite something broader, but that could?
Absolutely. But there will be a lot of guidance, I know, to the idea of soldiers. We call this strategic compression, where one act can have strategic consequences. They're very aware of that. But, I'm more concerned on the other side where, a Hamas or not even a Hamas actor causes a action that could have the potential for escalation, because the IDF will defend themselves, but also what then happens to the continuing of the agreement, which is what everybody wants.
I also want to ask you about one more part of the statement that Prime Minister Netanyahu put out, since you mentioned the politics of all of this. He says this is one of the goals of the war, referring to the release of the hostages. And he said that Israel is committed to getting all of the hostages out. But then he added this: we are committed to achieving all the goals of the war. We've talked about this for a while, the complexity of Part A, getting the hostages released, but still doing what Benjamin Netanyahu has said from the very beginning he was determined to do, and that is eliminate Hamas.
100%. I mean, war is political, but war is also a contest of will. Those stated objectives of Israel I think, do lead to a greater peace. The removal of Hamas from Gaza, I think, leads to greater peace, but it's the understanding the complexity of what that means in combination with getting all the hostages back, with combination of pursuing a better solution that was before this war, and maintaining the will from even the United States and its population to allow the operation to continue is a day-to-day action by action, decision by decision. But I believe that Israel will continue the operation to destroy Hamas.
Major John Spencer, it's so good to have you on the program. Thank you.